Hello, good morning, and welcome to News Highlights on GBC News and Governor Channel. I am Valencia Tete. Now, another round of district level election was held on Tuesday, January 9, to determine winner in electoral areas where some candidates obtained the same votes in the December 19 poll. The exercise took place at just 20 electoral areas for assembly members and 41 electoral areas for unit committee members across the entire country. And those few electoral areas are wide apart from one another. In Accra, GBC News went round to located the Okainkwe North electoral area where voting took place. However, the exercise at the Okainkwe North was not to break a tie in the recent held election, but rather to re-vote for an assembly member in the same election, which ended abruptly due to some controversies.
GBC News was at Okainkwe North Municipal, Abofun electoral area, specifically the St. Paul's Anglican Church Polling Station 1. The electorate voted to choose for an assembly member to represent the area. Unit committee members had already been voted for during the main exercise held in December. There was huge security presence to maintain law and order. Some of the aspirants spoke to GBC News.
As we speak now, I am the sitting assembly member coming for re-elections. Before coming into this election, upon cancelling this particular polling station, I was still leading him slightly over 100 votes. So we are praying and hoping by the grace of God, whatever I get here today will be added to what I have already. Then we can be declared.
I wish we can do more development. Because the duty of an assemblyman is dissemination of government policies at the local level. So if you buy that person, how do you determine development? I am assuring my people there will be peace, there will be victory on my side.
Results for the assembly member and unit committee members in other polling centers in the constituency have already been counted in the earlier exercise held in December last year.
The Member of Parliament for Efutu, Mr. Alexander Markin, has 9 claims by the NDC that he was involved in electoral violence in his constituency. Speaking to the media in Accra, the Deputy Majority Leader said there was no violence in his constituency during the recently held district level election, as been speculated by the NDC. The lawmaker said the NDC, at a media briefing in Accra on Monday, accused him of masterminded violence in the assembly election in the Efutu constituency. He explained that he does his politics on the strength of development and not violence and attacks, as allegedly being claimed by the national chairman of the NDC, Mr. Johnson Isiedun Ketia. The MP is consequently demanding an unqualified apology from the NDC for what he called unfounded accusation against him.
Such thing as violence at any polling station in Efutu during the just ended assembly elections. Rather, it was some NDC activists who attempted to stop voting at Alata Kokodo electoral area. If they really want the truth, they should go and interview the electorates in that electoral area. Of course, there was a delay in the voting, and all of us made frantic calls to the EC and engaged the EC to get the process to start. We were told that the ballot papers had delayed in Accra, and as a result, they were making effort to bring the ballot papers. When the ballot papers were brought, the NDC activists in the area started pushing tables and telling people that they were not going to allow any voting. The police was called in, and when the police came, they left the place. But for Honorable Isiedun Ketia, I believe that he's been in politics long enough to verify things for himself before he put things out. In the list, he could have contacted me. If there should be anybody in Winneba to cry foul, it should be me. In 2012, 2 weeks election, I was pushed into a gutter by a known NDC executive. He's still in Winneba. We reported to the police did not take action. The records are still there. MPP came into office in 2017. I led the sleeping dogs lie. 2016 was worse. And even these assembly elections, all the infractions were caused by their own people. It's a fact that all the MPP candidates won and they had zero. So if their party boys in Winneba want to find an excuse to their headquarters, they should go behind and research and find out what exactly happened. In any event, few weeks to the elections, they did this demonstration, a violence demonstration, where they assaulted police. And they were arrested. I don't attack anybody. I don't insult. I believe in an open discourse of ideas. And that has been the reason why I remain the MP. I've always won and won clean. I conclude by demanding an unqualified apology from Mr. Asiedu Nketia for the lies he said.
The government, in collaboration with the University of Ghana, is constructing a digital youth village on Legon campus. The digital youth village is expected to boost digital entrepreneurship among the youth and serve as a center of excellence for learning, innovation, and creativity. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia made this known when he opened the 75th annual New Year School. He said the country can only fast-track her development by building a vibrant, modern nation with strong systems and institutions underpinned by digitization, hence the drive to digitize the country. He called the University of Ghana to take up a leading role in the national digitization.
The annual New Year School is a platform to discuss matters affecting the overall development of the country, encourage consensus building, and educate the general public on important and topical national and international issues. The New Year School Forum also initiates public policy and assesses public opinion on pertinent issues to ensure good governance. Spearheaded by the School of Continuing and Distance Education of the College of Education at the University of Ghana, the 75th Annual New Year School and Conference is themed Nurturing Resilience, Adopting Technology, and Embracing Humanism for Sustainable Development. Academics, policymakers, business leaders, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders gathered at the Great Hall to discuss how Ghana can infuse humanism into the adoption of technology for sustainable development. The chairperson of the 75th Annual New Year School, Justice Barbara Akayensu, emphasized the need to leverage on technology to build resilience and promote development. The Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Nanaba Piamfo, said the university is integrating digitalization into the architecture of the school to improve on academics.
It is in line with our digitalization aspiration that my administration approved land for the construction of a digital youth village.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia challenged the university to assume a leadership role in digitizing the country.
I charge you to be at the forefront of knowledge production, leading to the development of groundbreaking and cutting-edge technologies tailored to respond to specific challenges and sectors to accelerate national development.
Dr. Bawumia explained the purpose of the Digital Youth Village at the University of Ghana.
This initiative is intended to boost digital...
And a former chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kuja Ferijan, is suggesting amendment of some sections of the 1992 4th Republican Constitution in an address to reflect on Ghana's democracy as a Constitution Day Republic lecture. He cited three areas: local government, the Council of State, and the separation of powers between the executive and the legislature. After 3 decades of being in operation, Ghana's constitution has been widely criticized for loopholes that have impeded its effectiveness in yielding the country's expected good governance and development aspirations.
3 things relating to amending the constitution are worthy of note. First, the amendment process is likely to be a long one because it will require, as a first step, a referendum done on its own or attached to a general election. Secondly, because practically everything that goes awry in our country is somehow often blamed on the Constitution, it will be difficult to amend the Constitution to the satisfaction of the general public. But we must be careful not to unnecessarily tinker with the Constitution. Thirdly, the extent to which amending the Constitution will cure the ailments of our democracy is a moot.
The country has not been able to successfully amend the 1992 Constitution to consolidate its democratic gains despite two major attempts over the past decade. For GBC News, Shalibewa, Accra.
The Chief Imam Osman Nuhu Sharbutu has called on political parties and their leaders to make the 2024 election a contest of ideas and policy proposals for electorate to make informed decisions. This, he said, is part of efforts to sustain the country's peace. The Chief Imam said this when the Member of Parliament for North Tong, Mr. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, and the national leaders of Mepe and Bato paid a courtesy call on him and also thanked his office for the diverse support during the Akumsumbos dam spillage, which affected many communities.
The Akonsombo Dam spillage in October last year displaced thousands of people and destroyed property worth thousands of Ghana cedis. Bato and Mepe were the hardest hit by the floods. Many philanthropists and organizations have supported recovery efforts in the area. The Office of the Chief Imam also supported with relief items and made a cash donation. The Member of Parliament and the traditional leaders from North Tong will also be on a thank you tour to the many groups and organizations who supported the communities during the tough moments.
The National Media Commission says journalists and media practitioners must be more professional as election 2024 approaches. Speaking to GBC News at Wa in the Upper West region, the chairman of the commission, Mr. Yaubuedu Ayobuafu, said journalists must always cross-check statements made by political activists in order not to misinform the public. Mr. Ayobuafu said the duty of journalists is to ensure that the electorates are empowered with the necessary information to make an informed choice. Swala Abdul Wahab has more in this report.
The media is a key stakeholder in ensuring free, fair and transparent elections. This is done by educating the electorate to exercise their civic rights while holding those seeking to govern and electoral bodies accountable.
We, together with the National Peace Council, we have developed some model guideline on hate speech. And so we should educate ourselves about those documents. The National Media Commission had guidelines on political reporting. The National Media Commission had guidelines on religious reporting. The National Media Commission had guidelines on broadcasting standards. The National Media Commission had guidelines on print media standards. The National Media Commission had guidelines on local language broadcast. Now, if we inform and educate ourselves sufficiently on these guidelines, at least we will minimize. Because there are some that we may not be able to prevent. For instance, if they come to the studio and it's a live program and somebody says something that creates the difficulty, the expectation that we want to from the journalist or from the host or from the producer is to quickly intervene. You say that, you shouldn't have said this because this one, only yesterday, this fact was made available. Why are you going back to it?
And that's how we end news hour on GBC News and GovNation. We'll bring you updates in our subsequent bulletin at 2 p.m. Until then, enjoy the rest of our programs. My name is Valencia Tete. Have a good morning.